Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
What is going on, people? Welcome back to Big B Daily Show. This is your host, Brien Hanley, otherwise known as Big B. We are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. What is happening, people? What is happening? NFL playoffs ended yesterday, or the first round ended yesterday, Super Wildcard Weekend. We're going to get into all of that good stuff. Let's get after it a little bit. Again, live on TikTok. Keep tapping the screen. At least 3,500 likes and 30 new follows. So if you happen to be here and you're not following, please give us a follow. And also click on that YouTube link if you are following in my bio. Come on over to YouTube. Subscribe to Big B Sports Talk. So, good morning, good morning, good morning. New time slot at 9 a.m. We moved to the morning yesterday. We'll be going from here, moving forward. It's a better time slot for me and everybody involved. So, good moving forward. Let's get after this thing. The Eagles, those damn Philadelphia Eagles just imploded, people. They just imploded. We were talking just a few minutes ago. Some people said they're frauds. I think a couple of weeks ago, you could have said the Eagles were frauds. 11 wins. Who did they beat? Down the stretch, they just absolutely imploded. And yesterday was indicative of an implosion. The locker room, Sirianni lost the locker room. They didn't trust him. Not sure if people trusted Jalen Hurts. Offensive coordinator is absolutely pathetic at best. Defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Just a lot of stuff about the Eagles that were bad. A lot of stuff that were bad. At the end of the season, an absolute implosion, man. An absolute implosion by the Philadelphia Eagles. Just terrible football. Terrible for Baker Mayfield just went through that defense like a hot knife through butter. No resistance. No resistance. Jalen Hurts just playing horrible football yesterday. That was bad quarterback play. It looks like Jalen Hurts has taken a step back. Now, you could say he's hurt. You can say offensive coordinator was bad. You can say the team didn't trust the offensive coordinator. To me, all that's just excuses. Your play doesn't have to be bad because of play calling. Hey, if the play's bad, fine, but I'm still going to go do my thing. They couldn't run the ball anymore. They didn't try to run it enough. I mean, they need changes in Philadelphia. They need changes in Philadelphia. Look, we talked about the Cowboys on how they needed changes. They need changes in Philadelphia. The Jalen Hurts looks like 2001 Jalen Hurts. If you ask me, this looks like the 2021 Jalen Hurts. That's what Philly looked like yesterday. That's what he looks like. Unsure of where to throw the ball, not accurate with the football, just wandering around, letting the pass rush get to him. And I think Philly was done at the end of the season. I think he was done at the end of the season. So, and somebody's over here hoping, wishing, and praying over on YouTube, heard Belichick to Philly, and I almost threw up in my mouth. Yeah, buddy. There ain't no way in the world Bill Belichick is not the answer to everybody's prayers like people are saying. He is not. There may be a few franchises that he can go help. Philly's not one of those. Bill Belichick going to Philly would be one of the worst decisions in a decade that anybody's made. He's not the answer in Philly. Now, we might say Nick Sirianni isn't the answer. Okay. But Belichick ain't either, because Belichick's going to want control, and Philadelphia learned their lesson about giving a coach full control with Chip Kelly. And look what happened. They got a good general manager. They just need a new coach. They need new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. They made a mistake. They made a mistake. It is what it is. And I don't think getting rid of Sirianni is the answer. I think you got to change coordinators first. Change coordinators first. If you do that, then, okay, let's take a look and see where we're at. And if that doesn't work, well, then your coach is incapable of finding the right people. Then you can get rid of everybody. But I don't think you just get rid of Nick Sirianni and then say, and just blow the whole thing up. They did go to the Super Bowl last year. They just lost their coordinators. You don't fire a coach that went to the Super Bowl, then turn around and wins 11 games and just say, oh, he can't coach, he's terrible, get him out. You can't do that. Franchise, you got to have some sort of franchise stability. Because then it's like, well, what coach wants to come in? I mean, who the hell wants to come in if going to the Super Bowl, turn around and going to the playoffs and winning 11 games get you fired? Who the hell wants to do that? And I'm just saying, who wants to do that? It's tough. And I know Philly fans today are going through it. I get it. They're not as bad as Cowboys fans, and I'm not going to make fun of them as much as Cowboys fans because I don't hate Eagles fans like that. But, man, it just makes it tough. But, no, Belichick is not the end-all, be-all answer to everything, and him going there would be insane. That just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And my man Hooligan got a great point. I don't think Belichick will be the GM at the next spot. He will just be the coach and chase the win record. Yeah, you may be right. You may be right. Because the last, I don't know, let's call it 5 to 8 years, Belichick hasn't been very good in the draft putting a team together. He just hasn't. So they can never get wide receiver right, ever. And just look at the Patriots roster. That's him. That's what he did. So, no, Belichick is not the answer in Philly. There's only a few places that he might be the answer, but the Eagles just imploded. They got to just cut offensive, defensive coordinator. You got to fire both those guys and start over. You got to start over. And that's okay to do. That's okay to do. You know, you just got to move forward in a different direction. Sirianni's got to bite the bullet and just say, hey, this didn't work. We got to go find some better coordinators and put our guys in better positions to make plays and move on. Because that was a choke job. That was an implosion choke job. I don't know if they were fraud. We can move Wednesdays. We're going to move Wednesdays to fraud of the week. But, yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Last night was indicative of just bad football. Bad football. Let's move on, though. Let's move on. So the Bills capitalized on Steelers' mistakes. Look, and like I said yesterday, as a Steeler fan, and most logical Steeler fans were not expecting the Steelers to go win the football game. But they had an opportunity. Let's just be honest. You're down 14-0, and you throw an interception in the end zone on a bad play by Mason Rudolph. It's a good play by the corner, but you gave your receiver no chance to catch the ball, and you gave the DB, the only person who could catch it was him. It's supposed to be the other way around. So the Bills are just better than the Steelers. The Steelers decided that they didn't want to tackle. They were making business decisions. They didn't want to tackle anybody and played soft throughout the football game. They weren't ready to play again. That's a Mike Tomlin thing. Don't tell me it isn't. That's a Mike Tomlin thing. Not prepared. Coming out, getting smacked in the mouth on the road. You knew what Buffalo was going to try to do, man. You knew they were going to try to take you out of this game early. Come on. And here we are, smacked in the mouth again. It gets annoying after a while to see the Steelers continuously not be prepared. Now, they fought back, and there's no question they fought back, but I think that's more that Buffalo, while Buffalo's playing good football and winning a lot of games lately, Buffalo's not some juggernaut. Let's be serious. Buffalo's not these world beaters. Now, do I think they can beat the Chiefs? Yeah, because I don't think the Chiefs are world beaters either. But it's not like Buffalo. And first of all, Buffalo had a lot of guys get hurt. And moving forward, I think a few of those guys are going to be done for the year. That's a problem. But yeah, it's not like Buffalo is just world beaters out there. Let's be serious, people. Let's be serious. They're not. They're not. But that's okay. They don't necessarily have to be. And they definitely didn't have to be to beat the Steelers. Because I've said it before. You can't win in the playoffs playing football the way the Steelers play football. Trying to play great defense, just holding on to offense, just doing the minimum on offense to try to keep the game close, play good special teams, and win at the end of the game. Well, first of all, the Steelers have the worst punter in the NFL. That's number one. They got a damn near a 300-pound punter out there that can't kick the football. That's number one. So you're not playing good special teams. Number two, your offense can't stay up because you don't do enough. The plan, again, what are you doing? Just run the football. You were having success. Keep the ball away from the Bills. Passing game, try to take a deep shot. The Steelers took no shots down the field yesterday. None. Why? Mason Rudolph is actually good at throwing the ball deep down the field. That's one of his strengths. And you did it not one time. Not once did you say, we're just going to take a shot. They didn't do that. It's just bad game planning all the way around by the Steelers. And Steeler fans are fed up. Steeler fans like myself, we're just fed up. We're fed up. You know? And whatever we want to say, whatever you want to say, it's just time. It's just time. And that brings me to the next topic. Mike Tomlin. Look, I TikTok, I get it. YouTube, I get it. He's a great coach. Mike Tomlin will get a job in Pittsburgh. I've said this a million times. I know you guys are tired of hearing me say it, but I'm going to keep saying it. He'll get a job before he leaves. First of all, I don't think the Steelers should fire Mike Tomlin. I think they should trade Mike Tomlin. Okay, you don't fire Mike Tomlin. That's number one. But you can trade him. And there are teams out there that would be willing to take Mike Tomlin and come off a draft pick for Mike Tomlin. The Raiders. I don't know if the Chargers, because I think they're going to hire Harbaugh. Washington, Atlanta, Carolina. There are plenty of teams that would be willing to do that. Plenty. So do that and go get you a new head coach. It's just time to move on from Tomlin, man. It's just time. And you're right. You're right, Johnny. Rooney's will never get rid of Tomlin. I don't know why. And if anybody, and I mean anybody, brings in the Rooney Rule race thing, I will block you immediately. I don't want to hear it. Don't start the nonsense in here. Not with me. I don't play that game. But the one thing that I know is the Steelers have dived into this. And they live there. Mediocrity. And I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times. Mediocrity will kill your organization. It's the death of your organization. That is literally the definition of mediocrity. That's what happens. Mediocrity is the death of your organization. So that's what it is. Yes, that is a great point. Darren Howard on YouTube said this: let players be themselves ain't the same with these new school players. He had a locker room full of grown men before. Not now. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Mike Tomlin allows people to be professionals. But if people don't know how to be professionals, somebody's got to teach them. And he's got to stand up and say, no, that's not right. No, that's not how you do it. No, what the hell are you doing? And he doesn't do that. He lets men be men, and that's not the right move. That's not when you don't have a team full of veterans. He had that early in his career. He doesn't have that anymore. Somebody's got to stand on their feet and say no. That's what it is. That's what it is. Here's another good point by my man Hooligan. It really starts with Art Rooney. He has to open the wallet and pay money for quality assistance. That's right. The Steelers got the smallest coaching staff in the NFL. They have 9 coaches. 9. At universities, they have more coaches than that. So why do the Pittsburgh Steelers only have 9? Now, some of that is Mike Tomlin. He's a control guy. So some of that is him. But also some of it is the Rooneys just being cheap. You can't afford to be cheap in today's NFL. That's not how it works. Don't give me the rest versus the Steelers, man. I don't want to hear that. The Steelers had opportunities. Yeah, there were some bad calls. But what about the Freiermuth fumble? How the hell did we get that? That ball didn't touch his helmet while he was out of bounds. That didn't happen. But they gave it to us. They gave it to us. We had opportunities yesterday to win that game. We had opportunities. So, and nobody said Mike Tomlin was overrated. Did you ever hear that come out of my mouth? I didn't say Mike Tomlin was overrated. I didn't say Mike Tomlin wasn't a great coach. I just said his time in Pittsburgh is up. That's all I said. And I'm going to stand on that. His time in Pittsburgh is up. It doesn't mean that the Steelers might not struggle a couple of years without him. Okay. It doesn't mean that he won't go somewhere else and have immediate success. Okay. But for the Steelers to get to where they're trying to go, they have to get out of this mediocrity, because mediocrity, like I mentioned, is the death of your franchise. It is the death of your franchise. So you cannot continuously be good if you are just mired in mediocrity, picking between 16 and 22 every year. Your football team doesn't get better that way. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And until the Steelers decide we're going to get out of this mediocrity and change the philosophy of how we want to win football games, then this is what it's going to be. Look, I would love Mike Tomlin to say, you know what? I'm going to change the way that I want to win. We can't just continuously win by playing great defense, good special teams, make a couple of plays on offense, and then try to win the game at the end. You can't win like that in today's NFL. You got to put points on the board. You got to put points on the board. And he doesn't do that. That's not his philosophy. It just isn't. It's not his philosophy. Whether that's good, whether it's bad, I think it's bad, because today's NFL, look, I'm not saying you got to score 40 points a game, but you can't score 17 and try. You can win games. You can win plenty of games. Like the Steelers won 10 games this year playing that way. But the best the Steelers looked, the best that they looked was when they put 30 points up on the board. That's the best they looked. The offense was clicking. The defense was clicking. That's the best that they looked, is when the offense was doing their thing. Had time of possession. Defense was fresh. That sounds cliche-ish, but it's the truth. The Steelers are better when they're putting – everybody, when you're putting points on the board. You can't just win 17-14, man. And yesterday is indicative. The Steelers scored 17 points. Was Buffalo really in any danger of losing that game yesterday? I know they cut it to one score, but were they really in danger of losing? No. No, I never thought the Steelers were going to tie that game. I was hopeful because I'm a diehard, but I didn't think they were in any real danger of tying the game or losing that game, man. I didn't think that. So, a philosophy change by Tomlin, then he can stay in Pittsburgh. If he doesn't have that philosophy change, he can't stay. It's just that simple. He just can't stay. And that's not a bad thing. That's not an indictment. That's just where we are as a franchise, where he is as a head coach. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. So, but let's move on, man. Let's move on to Q&A section. Let's take some questions over on Q&A from YouTube and on TikTok. TikTok. Let's see. It is why they play in hope of better. I don't know what that means. Let's go Buffalo. Buffalo got a shot. Buffalo's got a shot against the Chiefs. Like I said, I don't think either of them are world beaters, but I think I'm leaning Buffalo. The game's in Buffalo. I'm leaning Buffalo. I think they can attack more on offense than what the Chiefs can. The Chiefs can't score in the red zone. They just can't. They can't score down there. They get too cute and want to do tricky plays versus just making plays. And I think they have to do that because they don't have enough on the outside. So I'm leaning Buffalo. Yeah, the Chiefs have been kicking field goals all year in the red zone. They just cannot score down there. Part of it, I don't think they run the ball enough. I mean, have you ever seen the Chiefs just run it 3 times when it's 1st and goal and just say, we're going to run it in? And just run it in. They don't do it enough. And I think they got an offensive line that can do that. I think they do. But because you have Mahomes, sometimes I think Andy Reid thinks they can pull off anything. And I'm like, man, those windows get smaller down there on the goal line. You know your receivers aren't the greatest anyway. So, but the one thing, and this is a great point by my man Hooligan on YouTube, he said the Chiefs have a much healthier and better defense. So, yes, they do. Buffalo got beat up yesterday. They've been kind of beat up all year, but yesterday took a toll on them. Yesterday was bad. They got beat up. So we'll see what happens. And it's their linebacker position. I mean, they were running on fumes at the linebacker position. Had the Steelers not been so far down in the game and could have continued to run the football at them, it may have been different. 44-41, Buffalo win. I don't think either team gets in the 40s. First of all, the Chiefs' defense is better than that. Chiefs' defense isn't going to give up 40 points. They're better than that. So, now the other game in the AFC, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued with Buffalo and Texans. I'm really intrigued. What do y'all think, man? Who do y'all got? It's early, and obviously we'll go over all this stuff on Friday. It's early. So, why are we talking about the AFC? Because I want to. Ravens. I see Texans. A lot of people like the Texans. Now, let me ask y'all this question. I got into an argument about this yesterday. If Lamar Jackson plays bad, let's say Lamar Jackson plays bad and the Ravens lose, people are going to crush him. And he deserves it. But if Lamar Jackson plays good, but the Ravens still lose, should Lamar Jackson be crushed? I don't think so, but I think he's going to take it. He's going to get the blame, just like all quarterbacks do. But everybody keeps making that distinction. And I'm like, look, I don't have any excuses for Lamar Jackson anymore. As a Steeler fan, it's tough enough being a Lamar Jackson fan. But I don't have any excuses for Lamar Jackson anymore. There's no more excuses. So he's got to play well. He's got to play well. What do you mean Lamar Jackson never got excuses? Sure he did. Excuses where he didn't have any weapons. Those are always excuses that he got. Come on now, be for real. Be for real. Lamar Jackson got that excuse. Now, did everybody give it to him? No. Because everybody, well, he's a running back. Well, he can't throw the ball. Well, is it? Okay. We know what you're going to say about him. But he didn't have weapons to go and win. There you go, Russ. 1-3 career playoff record. 1-3. It's not great. And one of those years, you were the number 1 seed. I mean, and you got beat by a Tennessee team that wasn't very good. I mean, they were okay. But I remember that game specifically. He had 2 bad turnovers, 2 bad interceptions. They did have 500 yards of offense, but they couldn't score in the red zone. They got bogged down in the red zone. So Lamar has got to play well. And if he plays well, I think they win. I think they win. C.J. Stroud, they're coming, though. The Texans are coming. And the Texas defense is coming. They're coming. So we're going to see exactly what happens. We're going to see. I know a lot of people like the Texans. I don't know if I'm going that far just yet. I don't know if I'm going to go that far just yet. I think it's going to be a very good game. A very good game. So, can the Texans play in the cold? We'll find out. That was a question that was posed yesterday. Are they just good in a dome? They got to go to cold weather to get to the Super Bowl. We'll see. We'll see. So, my man Hooligan says, I think there's something to the hot team. Texans are hot, playing for the next week in 4 straight weeks. I think the Ravens' decision to sit may come back to bite them. See, I don't think so. I think being healthy means something. Not to mention, the Ravens are just sitting to get healthy. They didn't sit everybody. They think that every starter sat when they played the Steelers. That's not true. Every starter didn't sit. Because you can't do that on an NFL roster, number 1. So every starter didn't sit against the Steelers. Number 2, how are the Ravens not the hottest team? I mean, the Ravens are the hottest team in football, aren't they? I mean, in the games that they had to go win, they didn't just win, they beat the brakes off of these teams. So that's what I think. That's what I think. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. What else we got? What do we got on TikTok? Ravens sat too long. We'll choke. They could. I don't think they sat too long. I don't think that. I don't think that at all. Like I said, the last time they were in this position, they had over 500 yards of offense. So, Bucks will beat the Lions. Is that what we're thinking? Are we thinking the Bucks beat the Lions? Huh. I don't think so. Playing in Detroit again, I think Detroit wins that game. I think it'll be a good game, but I got the Lions. I think the Lions beat the Bucks. I think the Lions beat the Bucks. Now, I'll admit I'm rooting for the Lions to get to the Super Bowl. I like the story. I like Dan Campbell. I like Jared Goff. And I don't mean so much as play. I just like them as I like the coaching style of Campbell. I like that Goff is playing with a chip on his shoulder. Just beat the team that told him, we can't win a Super Bowl with you. I love that story. Plus, don't you have to feel a little sorry for Detroit? I mean, don't you have to feel a little bit bad? Detroit hasn't been good in so long. I mean, it's so long. I feel bad for Detroit. I want Detroit to win. They need something. It's one thing for them to win hockey championships and stuff like that, which I don't even know the last time they won one. But for the most part, America doesn't really care that much about hockey. Now, I'm not bashing hockey fans, but for the most part, people aren't watching hockey. That's just a fact in this country. The pecking order of sports on where people are watching sports, hockey is way down there. It is way down there. It's just facts. I mean, we'll just leave it at that. So they need something. We need something. Detroit needs it. They need it. So, and nobody said hockey wasn't a great sport. So stop the belly aching. Stop the whining. All I said was it's a lower tier pecking order of people watching it. And that's true. And hockey is not the number one watch sport. Stop lying. Gee, many Christmas. Golly. And this is America. So if you want to say that it's the number one watch sport in Canada, be my guest. I don't care about that. We're talking America. Stop lying. Sheesh. Either way, the bottom line, Detroit needs something. They need this. They need this. And I want it for them. I want it for them. So I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for Detroit. Let's just put that out there. I'm rooting for Detroit. I want them to win. And I think they're better than the Bucks anyway. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I think they're better than the Bucks. I think they are better than the Bucks. As a reminder, man, we're on here Monday through Friday. We're 9 a.m. Central Time, man. We've moved the time up. It's a better time for me, better time for the people that help me. It's a better time for everybody. Better time for the whole Big B Sports team, 9 a.m., man. So do me a favor and tell your friend, come check us out. If you're on TikTok, please keep tapping the screen. We need at least 30 new follows. If you're in here, please give us a follow. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah, we passed the mark as far as what we need for likes. Let's just get to 10K likes. And on YouTube, we love you. We love you. If you're in here, please subscribe. If you come watch it later, please subscribe to Big B Sports Talk. And on TikTok, come subscribe over on YouTube to Big B Sports Talk. It's a better experience, a little bit better experience for you. A lot of stuff over there. Podcasts, interviews, breakdowns, things that you don't have access to on TikTok, you will 100% have access to on YouTube. Come check it out. Come and check it out. So, but getting back, yeah, I want the Lions to win. Now, the one thing is that Michigan, somebody just pointed out that Michigan won. And that is true. So they got that going for them. But college is different than pro. We know that. Way more people watch NFL football than college football. We know that. That doesn't mean that people don't watch college football. So relax. Nobody said nobody watched college football. So, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. I like Detroit in that game. Now, the other game, man, ooh. I know the Packers are hot. I'm not sure that they can go to San Francisco and win. Here's what I'll say. If the Packers can still run the football like they have the last month, they got a real chance. Because where San Francisco can be had is in the secondary. They can be had on the back end. So if you can get to that back end, then you got a chance. Well, the way that you do that is you got to be able to run the football to keep those pass rushers at bay. So if you can do that, Green Bay's got a chance. Now, how their defense stacks up to stop San Francisco, that's a different conversation. I don't know that they can do that. I don't want to put it all on this game with Dallas because when you're up 27-0 going into the half, I think that, or 20, so right before the half, I think Green Bay just said, we got the game. And I think the defense just let up. They were playing a cover 2 shell the entire second half of that football game. So while they gave up a bunch of yards, the game was over. The game was over. So I don't want to make Green Bay's defense indicative of that game, but Green Bay's defense all year hadn't been great. Has not been great. So somebody says the only way Green Bay will win, Niners only get injured? Okay. Jordan Love, I like Jordan Love. Jordan Love, there's an argument to be made the last 6 weeks of the season that Jordan Love was playing the best quarterback of anybody in the NFL. There is an argument that can be made, and it's not a bad argument. I know a lot of people are going to say Lamar, and you may be right, but you can make an argument that Jordan Love was playing the best of anybody the last 6 weeks of the season. There's just no doubt about that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So they got a shot if they can, but they got to be able to run the football. And that's tough against San Francisco. That's tough. But if they can run the football, Aaron Jones still doing his thing. If he can continue to do that, the Packers have a chance. The Packers have a chance because then they'll be able to get into that back end on San Francisco's defense. And like I said, they can be had on the back end. They can be had on the back end. It's going to be very difficult. But I see it. How do you guys see it? How do you guys see it? Let's see. What happened? Yeah, that's the way I look at it. It's a good day to be in Tampa. That's right. It's a good day to be in Tampa. Tampa needs to be happy with themselves for winning that football game, man. I think a lot of people wanted to get rid of Todd Bowles. And Todd Bowles just said, look, our roster isn't great, but we're good enough. Our quarterback got better throughout the year. They're playing their best football right now. I mean, Todd Bowles was never going to be the problem in Tampa. He wasn't the problem in Tampa. Now, is he the solution? I don't know. But I know he's not the problem, and he's a pretty good head coach. Keep him moving forward. You can do a lot worse than Todd Bowles as your head coach. A lot worse than Todd Bowles as the head coach. Also, big Jason Kelce looks like he's retiring from the Eagles. Played his last game last night in the loss to the Eagles. How do we feel about it? Great career. 13 years, all with one team. That's a rarity these days. Usually when you get older and you want to keep playing, a team will get rid of you. But he was an all-pro. The guy is still at the top of his game. Maybe not athletically, but a lot of smarts, because that's what centers are. Retired. Definitely a Hall of Famer. Definitely a Hall of Famer. One of the best centers to ever do it. Jason Kelce, last game for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be missed. And the Eagles need to make a good decision in replacing him because he's going to be missed. That's for sure. And where the Eagles go from here is going to be key. So it's going to be key. We'll find out what they do. We'll find out what they do. I just think Philly got to read just do an overhaul of everything. Keep your head coach in place. Get rid of coordinators. Bring in new coordinators on both sides of the ball. And if they want to bring in new guys, then by all means, let the coordinators bring in who they feel comfortable with. See, my problem with Sirianni is when things got bad, he didn't step in. I think as the head coach, at some point, you got to step in. Offense got bad. Sirianni got his job from being an offensive guy. Step in. Make a decision. Overrule some stuff. Do something. He didn't do that. And maybe that's the mark of him not being an experienced head coach. And he didn't want to step on any toes. But hey, man, when the team loses, yeah, the offensive or defensive coordinator might get a little blame, but mostly the blame is you. So when it's you, then you need to take control. You need to take control. That's all I'm saying. So, and I think you lost the locker room. And I think he lost the locker room, some of it with his antics, some of it because the team just didn't believe in the direction of what the offense and defense was doing. They just didn't believe in that. And when your team doesn't believe, you got to get rid of those people. Either you step in and make it better, or you just got to get rid of them. And I think Philly just got to get rid of them and start over. Same in Dallas. I don't know why Mike McCarthy still got his job. What are they doing? What are you waiting for? I mean, unless you're just going to run it back with them. I mean, if you're going to run it back with them, okay. But I think we see what the Cowboys are. Again, mediocrity is the death of your franchise. That's the same way when in Dallas. Look, Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. Dak Prescott, no doubt, is a good quarterback. But are you ever going to win a Super Bowl with him? I mean, at some point, proof's got to be in the pudding, doesn't it? Proof has to be in the pudding. How many times is he going to lose in the playoffs? How many times is he going to come up short in the playoffs? Now, I'm not saying that the other day against Green Bay was his fault. He had something to do with it, but the defense had way more to do with it than he did. Way more. Way, way, way more. But that doesn't mean that he still didn't play bad, because he did. So how often is this going to happen? Or how long do you say, you know what, maybe he'll turn it around with the next game? Maybe he'll turn it around next year. I just don't think at some point somebody is what it is. What's that old saying? What is it? It walks like a duck, sounds like a duck, is probably a duck. I mean, Dak is a great regular season quarterback. He is a below average to bad postseason quarterback. It's just the way it is. It's just the way that it is. And do you move off of that and say, okay, well, if you get rid of Dak, who do you bring in? It's a good question. But if you can't win the Super Bowl with Dak, what do you do? I mean, as a franchise owner, you just want to win games. You want to stay relevant. I think there's some franchises that want to win more than others. And Jerry Jones always says that he wants to win, but does he really? Does he really want to win? Or does he just want to be relevant enough to continuously up the net worth of what the Cowboys are? Does he really want to win? Because if he did, how is Mike McCarthy your head coach? I mean, seriously, how has Mike McCarthy become your head coach if you're really trying to win football games? If you really want to win the Super Bowl? How does that happen? At some point, don't you have to move off of Dak Prescott and just say, look, we love Dak. He's been a great Cowboy. But you know what? When we get in a certain situation, he doesn't, we can't get over the hump with him. We can't get over the hump with him. We got to move on. And maybe, again, don't be afraid to take a step back to move forward. I always say that. Fans will be mad, but fans will understand. Fans are going to be mad. If the Cowboys were 12-5 this year, if they go back to 9-8 or 8-9, yes, fans are going to be mad. But if then 2 years down the road you go to the Super Bowl, they're not going to give a damn about that 8-9 season. So that's the thing. And if I'm Dak, maybe Dak doesn't want to be, maybe it's too much being in Dallas. Maybe the pressure is too much being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Like, why can't Dak, for instance, I said it yesterday, the Steelers might win the division and might be the number 1 seed in the AFC as Dak was the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. With the weapons that the Steelers have, and Dak with his ability to play, he's better than anybody the Steelers put out there by far. I mean, who knows? Put Dak in Atlanta this year. They win that division going away. Going away. So maybe Dak needs a change of scenery too. We always talk about coaches needing a change of scenery. Players can need a change of scenery. Just the same. Just the same. So, somebody in on TikTok saying that Jalen Hurts is overrated. You may be right. Jalen Hurts had a great year last year. The year before that, it was mediocre. And this year, it was mediocre. I need to see more from him. I'm going to chalk it up to Jalen Hurts had a bad coordinator. First of all, I'm going to chalk it up to him not being 100% healthy and can't do the things that he could do. His knees banged up. He couldn't do the things that he normally does. So I'm going to chalk it up to that. So, but what I'm also going to chalk it up to, is he had bad coordinators, but he played bad too. So let's not just give him a pass. He played bad. Yeah, he had no mobility. You're right. He didn't. Got to get it fixed. But either way, he also played bad. And if you're going to be out there, look, I don't give passes for injuries. I just don't. If you're going to be out there, then play well. But don't tell me, well, I didn't play well because I was hurt. Then don't be out there. If you can't play well because you're hurt, don't be out there. Otherwise, you got to play well because your team is dependent on you, especially at the quarterback position. Well, I can't do this. I can't do that. Well, if you can't, then maybe put somebody out there that can. Now, granted, I'm not saying that Marcus Mariota is the great, leader or any of that. All I'm saying is if you can't do the things that you need to do to be successful because you're hurt and you can't do it, I can't give you a pass for being hurt. I just can't. I'm not blaming you, but I can't give you a pass either. Can't do that, won't do that. Belichick to the Cowboys. Why would the Cowboys, first of all, why would Bill Belichick want to go to the Cowboys? I mean, yeah, he wants a head coaching job. He wants to get that NFL wins record. He does. He does. But why would you go to the Cowboys and first of all, get put in that pressure cooker that he's never been in before? I mean, he coached in New England. That wasn't a pressure cooker up there. That's not the same as Dallas. Not even close. I'm not saying they don't have passionate fans in New England. That's not what I'm saying. But the Cowboys have passionate fans all over the world. All over the world. It's different. It's just different. It's just a fact. It's just different. So, I don't think Belichick would be good. First of all, he's going to want some sort of control. Even if he's just going to be the coach, you're going to tell me that he's going to be on a team where the owner is having press conferences after the game talking about what they did good and what they did wrong. You think Bill Belichick's going to be a part of that? Come on, man. He ain't going to do that. He ain't doing that. I mean, the man has some of the worst press conferences in the history of football. All of a sudden, he's going to be good with Bill Belichick or with Jerry Jones being his boss, having a press conference, critiquing him after every game? No, he's not. He's not. And we can say Jerry needs to take a back seat. We've been saying that for 30 years. He ain't taking no back seat. Jerry Jones is the star of the Dallas Cowboys above all else and everybody else. It's him first. and he wants it that way. It's going to be that way until he dies. So Tomlin to the Cowboys makes no sense. I don't think he does that either. He's not going to have no owner be out in front of him. He's not doing that. He's not doing that. There's some coaches that, yeah, they'll be fine with that. Those two guys are not. Tomlin and Belichick are not going to be okay with that. They're not going to be okay with that. Some people say Vrabel. Vrabel just came from a situation where his owner said, yeah, we got to fire this guy because we think there's some other coaches out on the market that may be better than him. You think he really wants to go put himself in a position to have his owner be out in front of him? No, he's not. He's not. So I don't know what the Cowboys are going to do. Maybe they keep McCarthy because McCarthy is comfortable in that position and they just run it back with him and try to win again. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. But Mike Tomlin, to finish all this off, people, in closing, Mike Tomlin, I love the guy. I love him as a coach. I think he's a great person, although I don't know him personally, so I'm not talking about that, just from what we see. Great person, great coach. Tomlin's just up in Pittsburgh. Nothing wrong with that. And yes, we'll probably take a couple of steps back, but to get to where we want to go, I think some of those steps are necessary. We saw it yesterday when we just weren't capable. His way of playing is just not capable of winning football. We don't have a quarterback. That was part of his doing. Held on to Ben too long. Drafted baby hands when we didn't have to. And we're out there playing Rudolph, which Rudolph did fine. I mean, a costly pick, but he is what he is. He's a backup quarterback in the NFL. What do you expect? So, all right, man, we're going to shut this one down for today. I appreciate all y'all. Remember, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., live on YouTube, live on TikTok. Tell your buddies. Just bring a friend tomorrow. Tell them to come check us out. Again, if you're on YouTube, we appreciate it. Please subscribe to Big B Sports Talk. If you're on TikTok, please give me a follow if you're not already. And then click on that YouTube link in my bio. Come subscribe to Big B Sports Talk and join the chat on YouTube. Other than that, I will see you guys. And by the way, just to throw this out there, no show on Friday. There's no show on Friday. I got a little medical procedure, nothing serious, that I got to take care of on Friday. So Thursday will be the last show of the week, just to let you guys know. But other than that, I will holler at you guys tomorrow. Aloha.